Alright guys, I'm Josh with Flip and Tail. I am going to show you how to make a custom resin poured bar top table today. And I'm going to show you start to finish on how to build this table out, resin it. We're going to do some burning. It's going to be pretty cool. So to get started, we've got 8-foot sheets of wood here. I've already ripped them down to 20-inch sections. Alright guys, first things first. Project like this, saws are involved, sanders are involved. We're gonna have earplugs in. We're definitely gonna have some type of eye protection. Hat I like because it deflects any kind of debris that are gonna go in your eyes. Number one. Alright, now we're gonna lay out our little diagram on the plywood and make sure we put the screws where they need to go. I really just want to tape it so it doesn't move. We're just gonna sketch. We're gonna sketch our cut. We flip the two pieces of plywood apart. I'm gonna blow all the dust off of it. I use some liquid nails to glue it together. I like to put a nice little angle on this. I'm going to use a big hole, and then you have the tin foil inside. If you don't know, even the cheapest little caulk gun has this little guy on it, and we are going to puncture that several times. I like it. Alright, now we're just going to glue the table, and we're going to glue the crud out of it. So, all around the edges. Now we're going to put the top piece on the bottom piece. And we're going to square them up. Again, I got 1/4 inch on this. And you could use 1 5/8, but I'm planning on a little countersink on this. So that's why I got the 1 1/4, is I do not want to come through the top. This is why I have this mark, because I want to get as close to this as I can. I don't want to be right on it or past it, so I don't cut it. So we're gonna go around and fasten this down. And you want to make sure that it stays square all the way around, because when you initially put the glue on, it could slide a little bit, so we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go about every 18 inches to start. Notice I'm working my way from one side to the other. I'm not going down this side, and then doing the middle, because I don't want a bow in the wood and then bubbles in the middle. So we're trying to basically, if you picture taking a and I'll show you later when we do the actual decals. When you push decals out, you're trying to get all the air out. We're trying to do the same thing right now. So when I use like a circular saw or a jigsaw, something that has a trigger, right? I like to tie these together. That way, when you're dragging it around, it doesn't come unplugged on you, like in the middle of a cut. Now, I will be different with a 4-inch grinder or a router that has a button on it, and it stays in place, and it's a very high RPM. Because if that grinder or that router get away from you, you want it to unplug itself. You don't want it to be tied in like that and working its way all over the place, filleting everything in its path. we're gonna use our 4.5-inch grinder with this is actually an 80 grit wheel, but I've been using this thing for a long time, so it's nice and fine. It doesn't really rough cut as bad as it used to. Reminder, when I'm using this tool, it has a locking handle, okay? We don't want it to get away from us. So we are not tying these together. We are just plugging them in. That's it. All right, it's time to route down the edges. Same thing. I'm not going to tie the plugs in case that router gets away from me. And we're just using a round edge router. I'm going to do the bad side first, because sometimes what I find is, you know, when you adjust these things, they may just flex a little bit, so I don't want to mess up my good side. Notice I go one way and then back. Makes it smooth. .220 grit sandpaper over those edges real quick. All right, guys, all the sanding's done, dirty work's done. I went ahead and sanded the top of 220. We're gonna clean up everything so we can lay out the print, and then we're gonna start burning and make it look cool, painting, and air compressor. Move to a shadier area here. This is our vinyl layout. It's gonna go on the board. So I just kind of did some rough, like, little etching here and some rough outlines where we're gonna put some burns. Pretty cool. ParaRescueFoundation.org. Alright, we're gonna start with the propane torch today. Definitely always like to do the edges. I just like to chase the grains like so. And what we'll do is come in real dark on the edges, like here in the corners, like so. And we're going to streak with the grains. So I'm going to show you a little as I'm going with the burning. Basically what I like to do is follow these grains, because all the wood has like these cool little grains. So, yeah, we're going to find those grains. I don't really burn everything per se. And then we're going to go back, chase it up here and there, yeah. Kind of what we're doing. You don't want it to be like a drawing, you know, where it's like a really dark line. You want to fade it. We're going to go back and fade some of this stuff in. Here's that outline again. And we're going to get that outline in here. Oh, that's a cool one there. See those grains? This will really bring out the grains there. Pretty cool. We're gonna make it darker and blend it out. Yeah, and you see I'm going really a lot darker in here where the stickers are not gonna go. And then where they are gonna go, just gonna bring out those veins a little bit. What's the edges? Probably got pretty nice and dark. Alright, so far that's where we're at with that burning. Coming together. So, we're gonna get some stain involved, but we're gonna try it on the back side first to make sure it's not too dark. That's all we're doing right there. And at the same time, when we're rubbing that in, we are rubbing around our black burn and making this wood a little darker at the same time. And then it just kind of shades everything in real good. As you can see the difference from there to there. All right, now next step, we have to have something to seal this wood up before we resin it, because what's going to happen is if we resin like a raw wood like this, it's still going to be raw. When I say raw, it's still going to be raw with just a stain on it, because the stain's not really a sealer. What's going to happen is the resin will sink into the wood and you'll get a whole lot of bubbles. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a polyurethane on it and seal this up before we put the stickers on and the resin. So that's where we're at now, and just going to use a little brush on, and we're just going to go nice little even coat. Well, we're going to let that dry. Alright, we're back out here on day 2. 2 coats of polyurethane later, and this is our product. So there's a lot of little bumps in it from dust or whatever they might be. Splinters in the wood. So basically we're going to run a 220 grit sandpaper over this. It doesn't matter if it marks it up, because resin hides like everything, like scratches. It's crazy how much it hides. So we're going to go ahead and sand this down so the decals stick to it nice and smooth and there's no bumps in the decals, and we're going to use a 220 grit hand sandpaper on this today. Alright, so I'll sand it down, clean it up, get it ready for stickers. Alright, now we're going to lay out our decals, and we're going to basically measure all the, well, we're going to measure the edge to the edge, make sure our top to here, we're going to center everything, boom boom, and lay it all out. Remember, we cut all this, so that's not necessarily going to be perfect, so we will measure from here, and always measure twice. Like it. Alright, we're just going to straight cut some of this stuff because we can line it all up. It's a little easier to work with. And now that I've cut this stuff, maybe it'll shift a little bit, so I will go ahead and put a blue tape down just as a guideline at my 3-inch mark. There's that. Alright, let's stick these. little tiny toes. Alright, there's one. Now what we're going to do is slowly work this guy. Just want to work all the bubbles out of here. Do this as you go. You always want to peel them off real slow because sometimes those letters will come off. All right. Alright, our decals are on. We're getting ready to pour the resin. We got our little cover up here in case it rains, and then try to block down all the dust. So we have a self-leveling table resin that we're going to use, and basically we're going to have to make sure everything is good and level. That's looking pretty good. These are off. What we are going to use for leveling is some washers. Let's see where we're at here. At 5, 4. Now, still needs to go up more. That one's right on. Make sure it's good. Good. We're just going to go back and make sure anything that might stick in our resin is off. Alright, we're shimmed up underneath. There's our quarters. Washers. Alright. We got our 804 1:1 epoxy resin. Another set there. I've got some cups because I think I want to do some blue in here. I'm going to do a blue marbling. So it's very important to thoroughly mix this stuff, and you will know when it's thoroughly mixed, and I will show you a close-up as we're doing it. So I pour in the resin first, and then I pour in the hardener. When I mix in the hardener, you will actually see streaks through it. So when all the streaks are gone and all you see is crystal clear resin, then it's mixed up nice and good. So you know, that's scraping the sides real good. And we're going to mix exactly 1:1 ratio. It's already measured out for us, so we're going to do one jug at a time. Here's our resin. Try it like that. There we go. Alright. So our first resin, we're going to get all our resin in here first. I think we're going to need one more full one. Now we're going to mix our hardener in. And actually this stuff pours out real easy. It's more of a liquid. That's all that. Alright. This one's still coming out. This one's good. Alright. Start mixing this guy up. Kind of milky looking. You got that milky swirl in there. We want that to be clear. So I'm just going to keep stirring until it's nice and clear. As you can see, it's nice and clear. Yes, it has bubbles in it. That's not to worry, we'll get those out. I'm gonna mix up a little bit of this glue in here. And there's no rhyme or reason on how much of this stuff you're gonna use. Depends on the color you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and remember, this is self-leveling, so it is going to level itself. We will assist it. Alright, so we do enough to where this stuff rolls right over the edge. Okay. Okay, well, I learned a lot about that. As it's self-leveling, you kind of want to self-level it first and then add some blue because it just kind of ran everywhere on me. I went back and kind of did what I could to fix it up, so that's where we're at right now. And now we're just going to torch it down, get all the air bubbles out. All right, now we're going to put some heat to it. You can see the bubbles, they will come right out of it. So you get the edges real good. Alright, she's drying. She's drip drying. Air bubbles are out. Anyway, this is where I poured it right away. So it started blending as it self-leveled. And then this was kind of towards the end because a lot of it was bleeding. So that's what you're going to want to do. If you want to kind of get a look like this, wait till the resin starts hardening and then pour it in. Or if you want to more look like the marble effect, then pour it. I'm going to show you what the burning underneath all of this does. So you can see all the little grains. Now I want to show you the different textures of how you're going to get this stuff here. Okay. So for example, these lines that we got in here, when I dropped the glitter resin on here, it kind of flowed, okay, as it was self-leveling because we put it on right away. Now it kind of got all over everything, so I took plastic and dragged it through, hence why you have these lines right here. Now if you come back over here and look at how fine these are, I put these in late, okay? So pretty much, you know, we scraped all this out. As you can see the difference up here. You only really tell because I'm pointing it out to you, and the normal eye, people aren't gonna notice this, but you know, these are finer because the resin was actually already leveled out and then we put it in late. So that's the difference between what you see right here, right here, and like down here we just kind of etched through. All right, we do have a few marks here. I'm gonna pop those off.